Hello everyone. Today we're gonna do a second video about explaining teaching language methods. In the first video we talked about the grammar translation method. We explained its advantages, its aspects, what's the main goals of the grammar translation methods, and some disadvantages for it. Today we're going to talk about another method, which is the direct method. The direct method developed as a reaction against the grammar translation method. So, when we had the grammar translation method, which focused only on grammar and vocabulary and reading and writing, there was a movement that began against this direct method, against the grammar translation method, and they developed another method, which is the direct method. Now, the direct method revolves around trying to teach language in a way that supports communication, using the new language in order to communicate. Thus, you're going to develop your speaking and your listening skills in a thoughtful way, or in a thorough way. You're not just going to focus on vocabulary and grammar like the grammar translation method, but you're going to mainly focus on all the skills with a specific attention to speaking and listening. One of the most important principles of the direct method is that target language should be used as much as possible. So, we said, like in the grammar translation method, in the classroom, they do not specifically have to use the target language. They can use their own main language while learning some vocabulary or some grammar of the target language. But in the direct method, no. If you're teaching a classroom based on the principle of the direct method, you're going to try as much as possible to make your students use the target language in the classroom. First, you can, if it's the first lecture for you, you can explain to them the contents of the direct method and how it's going to be used throughout the semester. But after this, all the interaction, all the activities, everything between the students and between the teacher will be through using the target language. And this is one of the main aspects of direct method, which is the direct use of the target language as much as possible. First, to be familiar with this target language, and second, to accommodate yourself in how to use this language in a way that supports communications. Grammar is generally taught inductively. Inductively means that you're not going to learn grammar in a forceful way, like the grammar translation method, where the main focus of reading some passages and reading some literature was to understand a certain grammatical input and be able to use it and be able to make or develop or initiate many sentences with using these grammar sentences or these grammar structures. But in the direct method, grammar gonna be like a second, or it's gonna be on a second stool, while the main focus is learning how to communicate using the target language. So let's say you're reading a passage or reading some literature, reading some poem or anything. When after you fully understand how to use this language through these passages and through these articles and through any content you like, then you're gonna focus on the grammar, or if it contains some grammatical input, then you're gonna mention it. So it's gonna be, we will learn grammar, but in a secondary manner. The teacher plays an active role by modeling the language, asking questions, demonstrating meaning, and correcting students when necessary. So in the classroom that supports the direct method, the teacher is going to be a model for the students. They will mimic how he talks, his fluency in the language, the way he communicates using this language, and he will ask them questions, command them to do some activities that will initiate an interaction using the target language. So basically, he will orchestrate anything regarding the target language in the classroom. The direct method has several advantages. It gives students plenty of opportunities to speak and listen, encourage them to think in the target language, and can make lessons more interactive and meaningful. Yeah, one of the many advantages of the direct methods, first, it will give many chances for students to use or be interactive using the target language. When the teacher asks questions and demand an answer using the target language, then the student will be forced to speak in the target language and to answer using this new language to them. So yeah, and even the activities, let's say they can play a game together, a game of, asking questions, a game of role playing, maybe like a restaurant and a waitress, or a waitress and a customer, you can say, or, someone in a shop and another customer, any type of role play that will initiate meaningful interactions between students and even between teacher and the students. And all of this will be through using the target language. However, the method has some disadvantages. It can be difficult to use with large classes. So let's say the classroom has like 50 students, and the teacher only has, like 1 hour. Even if they have 2 hours in the lecture, it's going to be difficult to try to force all students, all 50 students, to participate and to be able to notice that all 50 students have understood the lecture or have understood the main lessons of the lecture, or if they can even, interact using the target language or not yet. You cannot test all students, separately, because this will take a lot of time. Even 2 hours are not enough for such kind of test. So yeah, this is one of the disadvantages of the direct method. But how can we solve this is basically to orchestrate small groups of classrooms. Basically, having only 20 students maximum, or 15, if we have like more than 30 students, it's going to be difficult because you will have to give separate attention or individual attention to every student. And that's what they deserve. That's a right to them. But since you don't have enough amount of time to do this, then it's going to be a disadvantage on behalf of this method. Overall, the direct method represents an important shift from learning about the language to actually using the language. So yeah, if the grammar translation method that we talked about encourages the use of the target language in order to read, in order to write, in order to understand books and articles and literature, then the direct method encourages students or foreign learners to be able to use this new language to them, to be able to use this new target language in order to communicate just like native language, just like native speakers of this language. So yeah, that's why the direct method got popular. That's why it has been used in many TSL classrooms, and that's why even to this day it's one of the most famous and popular methods in regarding to teaching languages. That's basically it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm gonna be back with maybe a third part in this series explaining a new language teaching method. Thank you all.